Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Love with AKP. In today's class, we will discuss relations of principal with third parties under the Indian Contract Act 1872. This topic is one of the most important concepts in the law of agency because it explains how contracts made by an agent affect the principal and third parties. Many examination questions directly ask students to explain sections 226, 227 and 228. Therefore, understanding these provisions is essential. Let us begin. In an agency relationship, there are usually three persons involved. First is the principal, second is the agent, third is the third party. The agent acts as a representative of the principal. Therefore, when the agent enters into a contract within his authority, the law treats the act as if the principal himself performed it. This is the foundation of sections 226 to 228. Now, section 226 contains the most important rule in agency law. According to this section, contracts entered into through an agent have the same legal effect as if the principal personally entered into them. Contracts entered into through an agent have the same legal effect as if the principal personally entered into them. For example, Ram appoints Shyam to purchase 100 bags of rice. Shyam purchases the rice from Ravi. Legally, it is treated as if Ram himself purchased the rice. Thus, rights and liabilities arise directly between Ram and Ravi. Now, when an agent acts within authority, the principal becomes legally bound. The principal acquires rights arising from the contract. The principal also becomes responsible for obligations and liabilities. For example, if an agent signs a valid purchase contract within authority, the principal must pay the agreed price. The third party can enforce the contract directly against the principal. Now let us understand section 227. Sometimes an agent performs acts that are partly authorized and partly unauthorized. If the authorized part can be separated from the unauthorized part, the authorized portion remains binding. For example, Ram authorizes Shyam to purchase 100 bags of rice. Instead, Shyam purchases 100 bags of rice and 50 bags of wheat. The rice transaction may remain binding because it was authorized. The wheat transaction may not bind Ram. Now, the key requirement under section 227 is separability. If the authorized and unauthorized acts can be separated, the principal is bound only by the authorized portion. This protects both the principal and the third party. The law tries to enforce valid transactions while preventing unfair liability. Now, section 228 deals with the opposite situation. Sometimes authorized and unauthorized acts are mixed together and cannot be separated. In such cases, the principal is not bound by the transaction. For example, an agent receives authority to purchase one machine for 5 lakh rupees. Instead, he enters into a combined agreement for multiple machines and additional services beyond authority. If the authorized and unauthorized parts cannot be separated, the entire transaction may fail against the principal. Now, students often confuse sections 227 and 228. The easy way to remember them is section 227 applies when separation is possible. Section 228 applies when separation is impossible. If separation is possible, the principal remains bound by the authorized portion. If separation is impossible, the principal is not bound at all. This distinction is very important for examinations. Now, let us understand through a practical illustrations. A principal authorizes the purchase of 100 bags of rice. The agent purchases 100 bags of rice and 50 bags of wheat. If separate prices exist for rice and wheat, the rice transaction remains valid under section 227. However, if everything is combined into one inseparable transaction, section 228 may apply. This example helps distinguish the two provisions. Now, let us study an important case law in Watt versus Fenwick. A pub manager purchased goods from a supplier. Although the manager acted beyond actual authority, the supplier believed he possessed authority normally associated with his position. The court held that the principal could be held liable because the agent appeared to possess authority usually connected with that role. So here the principle established is a principal may be bound by acts performed within the apparent authority of an agent. This case is frequently discussed in agency law examinations. Now, let us quickly revise. Section 226 states that acts of an Section 226 states that acts of an authorized agent bind the principal. Section 227 applies when authorized and unauthorized acts can be separated. Section 228 applies when they cannot be separated. Remember these distinctions carefully. Section 226 states that acts of an authorized agent bind the principal. Section 227 applies when the authorized and unauthorized acts can be separated. Section 228 applies when they cannot be separated. Now, for examination purpose, always remember the rule under section 226, the separability principle under section 227, the inseparability principle under section 228. The difference table and the case law, these points are enough for the high scoring answer. Now, let us conclude this topic. The law of agency allows a principal to act through an agent. Under section 226, authorized acts of the agent bind the principal. Section 227 and 228 determine the consequences when an agent exceeds authority. We will also study the important case of Watteau versus Fenwick and understood how apparent authority may affect liability. Therefore, agency law protects both principals and third parties while ensuring fairness in commercial transactions. For examinations, remember section 226, 227, 228. Examples and case law. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share and subscribe to Learn Law with AKP. See you in the next class.